She thought she was untouchable. She was wrong. Diana had always been in control. Brilliant, calculated, and confident, she dictated the rules of her marriage. At least, that's what she believed. That night, standing by the window of their London penthouse, she spoke without hesitation, her voice cool and detached. "I just need one night with another man. It's not cheating if I'm honest about it." Xander sat still, his expression unreadable. She expected resistance, maybe even anger, but not silence. She mistook his quiet for acceptance. She was certain he would stay, that he would endure, as he always had. But that night, her world began to unravel. While Diana chased validation, Xander set a plan in motion. She thought she could play the game without consequences. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. "Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started." I had once believed my marriage to Diana was unshakable. We had met at university, both driven, both eager to carve out our place in the ruthless world of finance. She was brilliant, relentless, and always in control, qualities that made her formidable in business and, for a time, irresistible to me. Our careers flourished, hers in corporate finance, mine in investment banking. Together we built a life of wealth, status, and what I mistook for love. But I had never been more mistaken. One evening, within the sleek, glass-walled embrace of our London penthouse, Diana stood by the window, a glass of wine balanced between her fingers, her gaze locked onto the sprawling skyline. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was cool and unwavering. "Don't be absurd. There won't be a divorce." I blinked, caught off guard. "What?" She turned then, as composed as ever, as if we were discussing weekend plans rather than the destruction of our marriage. "I need one night, just one night to remind myself that I'm still wanted. That's all." A slow wave of nausea rolled through me. "Diana, do you even hear yourself?" She exhaled sharply, already irritated. "Xander, this isn't about you. It's something I need." A hollow laugh escaped me. "Not about me? You're standing here telling me outright that you're going to sleep with someone else, and you expect me to just be fine with it?" She rolled her eyes, setting her glass down with deliberate ease. "It's not cheating if I'm honest about it," she stated matter-of-factly, as if presenting a calculated business strategy. "I love you, Xander, but I refuse to feel trapped." I stared at her, searching for any trace of the woman I had married, but she didn't flinch. No hesitation, no remorse. Then, without a flicker of secrecy, she strode into our bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and began packing. She wasn't sneaking around, she wasn't lying, because she truly believed she didn't have to. She thought I would accept this, that I had no choice. She was wrong. The door clicked shut behind her, and in that instant, something in me shifted. She assumed I would sit there, powerless, waiting for her to return. She underestimated me. Without hesitation, I picked up my phone. The call was answered almost immediately. "Early," I said. "I need a favor." Early, and I had been inseparable since university. A brilliant forensic accountant, and more importantly, someone who knew exactly how to dismantle people financially. "What's going on?" he asked, immediately picking up on my tension. "Diana's about to cheat on me," I said, my voice steady, calculating, "and I need to destroy her." A low whistle came through the receiver. "Damn, that's brutal. What's the plan?" I exhaled slowly. "Start with her finances. She's careful, but nobody's perfect. If there's something there, I want to know." "Got it. Anything else?" A slow, knowing smile crept across my face. "Let's make sure she never forgets this night." By the time Diana returned the next morning, still wearing the same dress from the night before, I was already several steps ahead. She walked in, tossed her bag onto the couch with an air of casual satisfaction. "See?" she said, stretching as though nothing had changed. No big deal. I watched her carefully, my expression unreadable. Did you have fun? She tilted her head, regarding me with mild amusement. Xander, don't be childish. I didn't argue. I didn't react. I simply smiled and turned away. That should have been her warning, but she was too busy congratulating herself to realize that while she had been proving something to herself, I had been proving something far more significant, just how easily I could dismantle her entire world. The first blow landed swiftly. Early's investigation uncovered something invaluable: covert transactions, financial misconduct. Diana had been siphoning company funds into private accounts, careful enough to avoid immediate detection, but not careful enough to be untouchable. That illusion shattered when an anonymous report landed on her firm's compliance desk. That evening, I observed from across the room as she paced, her phone pressed tightly against her ear. What do you mean, flagged transactions? That's ridiculous. She was unraveling, and I was only getting started. The next hit struck her finances directly: a declined credit card at an upscale boutique. At first, she dismissed it as a bank error, but as the days passed, the reality settled in. One night, she appeared in the doorway of our bedroom, her usual poise visibly shaken. Xander, something's wrong. I glanced up from my laptop. Oh? She hesitated, uncharacteristically uncertain. My accounts, they're frozen, and there's... Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. An internal investigation. Someone reported me. I arched an eyebrow. That sounds serious. Her eyes narrowed. You don't seem surprised. I shrugged, feigning indifference. Maybe that's because I know exactly the kind of person you are. She inhaled sharply. You... I cut her off smoothly. You did this to yourself. Her lips parted, but no words came. Good. Let the fear settle in. And then, the final act. The divorce papers. The final puzzle piece snapped into place the moment I pushed the divorce papers across the table. Diana's fingers trembled as she flipped through them, her eyes skimming the cold, official language that spelled out the end of us. You're actually doing this? Without hesitation. Her expression twisted in disbelief. You can't just walk away over one mistake. I exhaled sharply, a bitter chuckle escaping. No, Diana, a mistake is an accident. What you did was a choice, and now I'm making mine. The unshakable confidence she had always wielded like a weapon faltered, giving way to something she rarely allowed herself to feel: fear. But you love me. I shook my head. I loved the version of you that I thought was real. Now? Now, I just want to watch you fall. And with that, I walked away, leaving her to drown in the ruins of her own making. For years, Diana had meticulously built her image, a formidable name in finance, a woman of status, a wife who had it all. Control was her currency, and she had spent a lifetime ensuring nothing slipped through her fingers. Yet in just a handful of days, I had shattered it all. The pristine world she had crafted began to crumble, brick by brick. At her firm, whispers turned into scrutiny. The board members, once captivated by her brilliance, now eyed her with suspicion. Investigators sifted through her records, unearthing the inconsistencies she had so carefully concealed. One by one, the doors that had always swung open for her slammed shut. Her accounts were frozen, her credibility eroded like sand slipping through a sieve. And looming over it all was the divorce, the final nail in the coffin of her perfect life. I watched her unravel. One morning, she sat at the kitchen counter, staring blankly at the untouched coffee in front of her. Her fingers traced slow, restless circles against the marble. The woman who once commanded every room she entered was fraying at the edges. I savored every moment. Then, inevitably, she cracked. Xander. Her voice was softer than I had ever heard it. Can we talk? Leaning against the doorway, I folded my arms. About what? She inhaled shakily, as if forcing herself to face the truth. I messed up. I arched an eyebrow. No kidding. She swallowed hard, struggling to find the words. I let myself get caught up in something I shouldn't have. It wasn't about you. It was about me. I needed to feel wanted. I finished the thought for her. You craved the thrill of the forbidden. She winced, as if hearing it aloud made it worse. Yes, but it didn't mean anything. I still love you. This time I laughed, a deep, genuine laugh. Love? You love me so much that you stood in front of me and told me you were going to sleep with another man? That's the love you're talking about. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. I tilted my head slightly. And that's exactly it, Diana. You never thought about me at all. She reached out, desperate, but I stepped back before her fingers could graze my arm. We can fix this. I met her gaze and held it before shaking my head. No, Diana. You're the one who has to live with the consequences. That was the moment it hit her. The moment she realized there was no coming back. The following week shattered what was left of her. First, the firm severed ties. The financial discrepancies she had brushed aside were undeniable, and her attempts to explain them away were drowned out by scandal. She fought, clawed for leverage, but the corporate world is merciless. One stain on a reputation, and it's over. Then came the cruelest twist of all. The man she had thrown everything away for? He disappeared the moment things got messy. He was never interested in anything more than a fleeting indulgence. She had gambled her entire life for a hollow distraction, and she had lost. But the final, crushing blow came when she realized she had nothing left. Diana had always believed she was untouchable, that she could manipulate any situation to her advantage. But this time, I had made sure there was no way out. The divorce papers were just the beginning of a meticulously executed plan. I had already moved everything into my name, legally, irreversibly. The assets she once flaunted, gone. The luxury apartment, sold. The car she adored, repossessed. Her credit, reduced to nothing. She had always assumed she held the power, but in the end, it had all been borrowed from me. And now, she had nothing. The day she returned to find the locks changed, her suitcases neatly stacked outside, and an eviction notice bearing my signature, I watched from a distance. She crumpled to the pavement, staring at the cold reality before her. The woman who once had it all was now destitute, and I had never felt lighter. Then came the call. A few nights later, my phone buzzed. I nearly let it go to voicemail, but curiosity won. I answered. Yeah? Silence stretched for a moment before her voice, small, fragile, came through the line. Xander. I said nothing. I have nothing. Leaning back in my chair, I exhaled. I know. A pause, then the word I had been waiting for. Please. A smirk tugged at my lips. Please what? Help me. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. For a fleeting second, I almost pitied her. Almost. You did this to yourself, Diana. I just made sure you felt the consequences. She sniffled, the weight of her downfall pressing down on her. I was your wife. Closing my eyes, I shook my head. You were supposed to be my wife, but you threw that away for a fleeting moment of desire. Xander, she pleaded, desperation clinging to every syllable. But I was done. You made your bed, Diana. Now lie in it. And without another word, I hung up. I stared at the phone, half expecting it to light up once more, willing her to make one last desperate attempt. But the silence stretched on, confirming what I had already accepted. Diana finally understood that I was truly gone. Yet this wasn't the end. Not yet. She had never been one to concede defeat so easily, and I knew she wouldn't start now. The battle was far from finished. What lay ahead would be even more ruthless, and I was ready for every second of it. This wasn't just about retribution. It was about ensuring she never forgot what she had lost. I wasn't done, not by a long shot. The reckoning had only just begun. After ending the call, I remained still, letting the gravity of my actions sink in. But there was no regret, no second thoughts, only an unwavering sense of satisfaction. For years, she had spun lies, reshaping reality to fit her needs, believing she held control over me. Now, her carefully constructed world was crumbling, and I was the one pulling the strings. The next morning, my phone vibrated with a message from Early. Got something big. You'll want to see this. We met at a quiet cafe in the heart of the city. He slid a folder across the table, lowering his voice as he spoke. She's been moving money into offshore accounts, not just company funds, her personal fortune too. She's been hiding assets. I flipped through the pages, a slow grin forming. This is exactly what I needed. Early studied my reaction. You're not planning to let her walk away from this, are you? I shook my head, firm. Not a chance. That evening I dialed Diana's number. She answered immediately, her voice laced with apprehension. Xander, please. I found the offshore accounts, I interrupted, my tone as sharp as a blade. A pause, then a shaky breath. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't waste my time. I have the proof, the money, the deception, the betrayal. You really thought you could hide it from me? She stammered, struggling for words, but I wasn't about to let her regain control of the conversation. Here's how this works, I continued coldly. You'll sign over every last cent you've hidden. If you refuse, I take this straight to the authorities, and believe me, Diana, they won't be as forgiving as I am. Xander, you can't do this, she whispered, desperation thick in her voice. I already have, I said, unyielding. You have 24 hours. I ended the call before she could protest. The next day, Diana arrived at my apartment. Her face was pale, her hands unsteady as she held out a stack of documents. Here, she murmured, barely audible. It's all there. I took the papers, scanning them thoroughly. Every detail was in place. You've destroyed me, she choked out, tears slipping down her cheeks. I met her gaze without a hint of sympathy. No, Diana, you did that to yourself. I just made sure you faced the consequences. She crumpled, sobbing. I'm sorry, Xander. I truly am. I crouched, locking eyes with her. Sorry doesn't erase what you've done. You wanted it all, your career, your lover, and me waiting in the wings, but you miscalculated. Now, you have nothing. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Leave. Her tear-filled eyes searched mine for mercy. Please, Xander, don't do this. You made your choice, I said, turning away. Now live with it. She left that day, broken, her once confident stride reduced to a hollow shuffle. I watched from the window, unaffected. But this wasn't over. A week later, my phone rang. Diana's lawyer. Mr. Carter, he began, his voice clipped with professionalism. My client is willing to settle the divorce on your terms. I smirked. Good. Let her know I'll be in touch. The agreement had already been drafted. Diana would walk away with nothing, no assets, no financial support, no lifeline. She had gambled on arrogance, and now she was paying the price. When the final papers were signed, I felt an unexpected sense of closure. She was no longer a part of my world. I was free. Shortly afterward, I left London behind, carving out a new life in Zurich. My career flourished, and for the first time in years, I felt unshackled. The weight of her betrayal was gone, replaced by the satisfaction of knowing I had reclaimed my own fate. But I never forgot her. A year later, a letter arrived, the handwriting unmistakable. Xander, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope you can at least understand. I was lost. I made a terrible mistake. I hope you're happy, wherever you are. Diana. I read it twice. Then, without hesitation, I dropped it into the fire. Forgiveness was never an option. Not then, not now. Time passed, and I believed I had left Diana in the past. But one evening, as I stared out over the Zurich skyline, my phone rang. It was early. "You're not going to believe this," he said, disbelief thick in his voice. I leaned forward. "Tell me." My interest piqued. "They caught Diana," he said, his voice edged with satisfaction. "Tried to sneak out of the country with whatever cash she had left. Airport security nabbed her before she even reached the gate." I leaned back, a slow smirk tugging at my lips. "So, her luck finally ran dry?" Early chuckled, a deep, knowing sound. "You're cold. You know that?" "Maybe," I admitted with a nonchalant shrug. "But she brought this on herself." And that was that. Diana had always carried herself like she was untouchable, convinced she could talk or scheme her way out of anything. But in the end, she learned the most unforgiving lesson of all. Pride will destroy you faster than betrayal ever could. As for me, no remorse, no hesitation. This was never about anger. It was about clarity, about making sure she understood exactly what she had thrown away. And I had done just that. Betrayal only cuts deep if you let it. The moment you release it, the weight shifts entirely onto the one who caused it. And Diana? She had nowhere left to turn, no one left to blame but herself. This story has come to an end. Power, control, and arrogance can make a person feel invincible, until reality proves otherwise. Diana believed she could manipulate love, loyalty, and trust to serve her desires, but actions have consequences. Betrayal isn't just about breaking vows, it's about underestimating the person you betray. Respect and honesty are the foundation of any relationship. The moment you treat someone as disposable, you risk becoming disposable yourself. Diana's downfall wasn't just about infidelity, it was about entitlement. In the end, arrogance destroyed her faster than betrayal. Never take the people who love you for granted, because once they decide to walk away, there's no turning back. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.